Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Pennsylvania Trolley Museum. Something terrible this way comes. Woohoo! It's a terrible day. It's a terribly good day. How about that? My name is Janine DeBoer, and I'm the executive director here. And it is my honor and privilege to welcome you today as we present for the first time since the 1980s the beautifully restored PCC car 1713, also known as the Terrible Trolley. Here at the Pennsylvania Trolley Museum, our mission is to tell the story of the trolley era. That includes how trolleys impacted our communities and connected people. The Terrible Trolley certainly impacted our community and connected Steeler Nation and beyond. This car was first presented to the public at a Super Bowl prep rally on January 18th, 1980, 2 days before Super Bowl 14 and the fourth Steelers Super Bowl win. A crowd of thousands in downtown Pittsburgh went wild when this car came rolling down the street. And today, excitement fills the air once again as we prepare to present the car along Volunteer Boulevard to all of you trolley, rail enthusiasts, and Steeler Nation, Western Pennsylvania, and beyond. To kick off this celebration, I would like to invite Pennsylvania Trolley Museum President Michael Kenlick to offer a few words.
Thank you, Janine. So I grew up in Washington, PA, and before the 1980 Super Bowl, my dad took me and my brother to Hill's department store, and we bought yellow dish towels, as Myron Cope instructed us, and I sat at my kitchen table with a black magic marker, drawing on them Steeler logos. I had the iconic photo of Sports Illustrated of Willie Stargell and Terry Bradshaw with steelworkers. And during that time, you knew Pittsburgh was a tough town. And we leaned on our sports teams to give us that inspiration. And they taught us that hard work and dedication could make you the city of champions. And that same spirit is what brought a Pittsburgh icon back to the area. It's with a heart full of pride that some of our youngest staff and volunteers worked tirelessly to restore this car and bring an icon back to Pittsburgh. So please enjoy today and let that transport you back to the 1980s and the Pittsburgh City of Champions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. This car would not have been restored without support from our community, especially our donors. We are proud to partner with Washington County Tourism Promotion Agency, our exclusive sponsor of the Terrible Trolley. And at this time, I invite Jeff Catula, President, to offer a few words.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you for that lukewarm round of applause. I certainly appreciate this morning. On behalf of the Washington County Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Promotion Agency, it was our pleasure to underwrite the refurbishment of this great addition to the Trolley Museum. But when I think about the Trolley Museum and our county, it's really about the volunteers and visitors that make this special. So I want to begin by thanking all the volunteers that have worked tirelessly and effortlessly on this project to make sure it came to fruition. And also thank you to you, the visitors, for being with us today. You know, tourism in Washington County is a nearly $600 million a year business. It employs 5,300 people, but again, it's about our visitors and our community coming together to celebrate great moments like this. I'd also like to take a quick moment and thank my good friend, David Caligiuri. He'll be introduced in a moment, for being here. I've known David for over 30 years, true commitment, true partner in our community, and this wouldn't have been possible without the efforts of his dad, Mayor Caligiuri, long ago. So please enjoy the trolley, enjoy the day, and enjoy this wonderful time in Washington County. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you for all that you and your staff do for Washington County. And a big thank you to everyone who donated time, talent, and treasure to this project. with special thanks to Bram and Kathy Bailey and GBU Life for their challenge gifts. This project would not have moved forward without the support of the NFL, the Rooney family, and the Steelers. I would like to thank them and the Eamon Foundation and Brian Simmons for their support and partnership in allowing us to make history once again. And a special thank you to our member and volunteer, Tom Rooney, for his help on this project. Tom is here today, and I would like to invite him to make a few remarks on behalf of the Rooney family.
Thank you, Janine. I brought a very special guest with me today, Jim Jones, a retired streetcar driver who actually drove our streetcar today. So Jim, you're here, raise your hand. We're glad to have you here. Jim, where are you? Oh, there he is. You know, Jim hadn't been here for a while, many years, and it's amazing the word he used to describe the appearance of our wonderful museum. He said it was immaculate. Immaculate. Probably know where I'm going with this, but anyway, immaculate is really in the lexicon around here. I used to be a member of Immaculate Conception Church right up the road here. But it was the Immaculate Reception that galvanized everything. Remember, the Steelers had not won a playoff game in 40 years. I used to get free tickets because my dad was in the ticket office with the Steelers. I would get beat up trying to give them up. That's how bad the team was. So if you can imagine what's going through, Bob Nutting right now with the Pirates, it's probably something pretty similar. So we go from this immaculate museum, immaculately developed and produced by so many loving, members here, to our Immaculate Conception, to the Immaculate Reception, of course, to the Immaculate Resurrection of the Terrible Trolley. So there you go. That was a bridge. But I want to say one thing about streetcars and sports, if I can. When I grew up, all the orientation of sports was out east. And I used to take that thing called the 7754, the flying fraction. I think it was more like the song, the MTA, The Man Who Never Returned. I could never figure where it started and ended. But everything went out to Oakland. That's where Pitt played. That's where the Steelers played. That's where the Pirates played. And years before that, it was the original hockey arena of the Pittsburgh's original NHL team, which was called the Pirates, and their NBA team. It was called Duquesne Gardens. And does anybody know here what Duquesne Gardens formerly was? What was it? It was a streetcar barn. How about that? So we got all that connection going for us. And by the way, the couple streetcar companies merged, and that's why that building became available. But on behalf of the Rooneys, they're in training camp breaking down today. I did talk to my cousin Art, and they were really, really helpful. There was a lot of navigation in getting the licensing done. It's not like it used to be where, oh yeah, you can use our logo. That doesn't work anymore. We had a tremendous amount of navigation to get that done, but everybody did a great job. So I'm glad to be here, and always glad to be back here. I started as a volunteer in '76, and I hope I'm here for another 76 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tom, and thanks again to the Rooney family and the Steelers. We have two very special guests here, two great supporters of our museum. They're very busy these days, but they took time out to be with us today. So I would like to welcome Senator Camera Bocciolata and Representative Jason Ortitai to come up here with us, offer a few words if you would like, because we're going to get ready to roll this car out soon.
Hello. You didn't see me just flying like a maniac, did you? It's okay. They called us to session this afternoon, so I've got to scramble. The minute I'm out of here, I'm driving all the way to Harrisburg, but there was no way I was going to miss this. This literally is one of my all-time favorite locations in Washington County, but I wanted to say just a few words because of today. I don't know if you can see that. Pretty awesome. Woohoo. Before I start, one second. All right, here we go. Gotta do it. There we go. This really is such a joy to be here with all of you today, and this is one of my absolute favorite places in Washington County, and I always call it our crown jewel. I want to thank the museum's leadership, its volunteers, and every single supporter who has worked so hard to make today possible. Thank you for your dedication to keeping our history alive and giving us a new way to celebrate our Super Steelers. This is more than just preserving a streetcar. You have preserved a story, a memory, and part of who we are. It's a perfect blend of two Western Pennsylvania icons, the storied trolley lines and the Pittsburgh Steelers. You have to imagine that the Steelers' legendary owner, the Chief, Art Rooney, was a regular on the trolley lines in Pittsburgh's North Side back in 1933. The Chief always told the story of him buying the franchise in 1933 because of winning a particularly lucrative horse race. Perhaps he came up with the idea on his way back home from the race on the trolley. I have to admit, I grew up on the West Coast during the Steelers' glory years of the 70s, but even from thousands of miles away, I was aware of their greatness. When I moved to the Mon Valley in the 80s, that admiration turned into a lifelong love. I have to say, with my last name and my passion for making homemade wine, not great, but still, homemade. If Franco's Italian army had still been marching back then, I would have been a card-carrying member. The Rooney family has always stood for three things: faith, family, and football. Faith in each other, in our community, and in preserving the things that matter. Family, whether by blood, by friendship, or by the bonds of shared passion for the game and for its history. And football, of course, a tradition that, much like the trolleys, has connected generations in Western Pennsylvania. Today is a reflection of those values. This restored Terrible Trolley is proof that when we believe in something, work together, and honor our traditions, we can keep them alive for the next generation. Bring your family, your friends, your neighbors, and come see the Terrible Trolley, because history is meant to be experienced, pride is meant to be shared, and days like this remind us of just how special it is to call this place home. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here today. I will be quick. I know everyone wants to see the trolley. I do as well. I remember seeing it when it was rolled in here. So I haven't seen it yet since it's been completely redone. I'm very excited to see that. I hope all of you are as well. I just want to say thank you to everyone who was a part of this. This is truly a gem here in Washington County. Proud to represent this area as well. And I'm looking forward to all of the new visitors we're going to get just to see this trolley in action. So let's go Steelers.
Thank you so much, and I do want to acknowledge Brian Turpak from Senator Camera Bartolotta's office, who she told me wrote her speech, her lovely speech, and also worked for the Steelers for 12 years. So Brian, thank you for being here as well. There are many, many more stories to tell today, but I know you want to see this car, so let's get rolling. I'm not sure how many of you all know this, but Dallas did not have the first cheerleading team in the NFL. The Steelers did. 1960 to 1969. The Steelerettes are here with us today. Thank you for being here. We're going to hold up a banner. We have Bram Bailey, our past president, and Mrazek, and Armin is down there as well. Thank you. And Lindsay, let's put up that banner. And all right, you're at a pep rally. This is a pep rally. Get those pom-poms and those terrible trowels, and even better, terrible trolley towels. They're on sale today for $14. And okay, on the count, we're going to do a count. You all ready back there? Everybody ready? All right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! I can hear you. welcome, welcome. The car was operated by project manager Michael Bukta. And I think we have some special guests. John Banaszak. Super Bowl champion, John Banaszak. John, would you like to offer a few words? If you would. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, everyone. This is absolutely an honor for me to be here, riding in on the Steeler trolley. It's just an amazing, it's an amazing trolley. Okay, I really should have worn a jersey. Okay, my number was 76. Okay, and you know, it's just amazing how many years ago that was, and how many years ago the original trolley, the Steeler trolley, rolled out. But the revamped one is absolutely amazing, and thank you all for showing up. We're having it's going to be a great tribute and a place for an awful lot of people to visit. So thank you very much.
I'm not sure if Garrett Webster, son of Mike Webster, NFL legends, Super Steeler, is here or not. He said he would, but thank you so much, Garrett, if you're in attendance with us as well. Every trolley, I know you want to ride this thing. Give us a couple more minutes. So take some nice pictures of that pretty car. Every trolley, or I should say paint scheme, has a story. The Terrible Trolley would never have come to be without a 9-year-old girl writing a letter to Mayor Richard Caligiuri. This is her letter. Dear Mr. City Promoter, my name is Kim Seaver and I am 9 years old. And I had this idea that maybe the city could have a trolley painted black and gold that says the Terrible Trolley. If the city doesn't have the money for a new trolley, you should just paint one of the old trolleys black and gold, okay? Okay, Kim. Kim is here with us today with her family. She came all the way from New Jersey. Kim, would you like to say a few words?
Hey everybody, I want to start by saying thank you to the great people at the Trolley Museum who made this possible. I'm completely amazed that this has happened. I never knew that it was my letter that actually caused the Terrible Trolley to become a reality, and now 45 years later, here we are. This is so awesome. I wasn't even a huge fan of football at the time. I thought the coolest thing about the Steelers was that Lynn Swann did ballet on Mr. Rogers. I'm rocking his jersey today. And the fight song was a polka, which we just heard. So in Pittsburgh, you don't have to know about football to understand that it's a really big deal. And after Myron Cope invented the terrible towel, it seemed like everything in Pittsburgh started becoming the terrible version of itself. We had the terrible awning, the terrible trash can, the terrible telephone pole. And so I thought, why not a terrible trolley? And I asked my grandma about it, and she said I should write a letter to the mayor, so I did. And all this time later, here we are. So this is such a great Pittsburgh moment. It's really started as a little kid with a big idea that was inspired by the community's love for the Steelers. And now it's been brought full circle by this amazing team who brought it all back to life. So thank you to the Trolley Museum, and thank you to everyone who came out to see the trolley ride again today.
Thank you, Kim. So happy you are here with us to celebrate this. You can see Kim's original letter, which we have in our archives, displayed in our Terrible Trolley display in our history gallery, so please check it out before you leave today. The recipient of Kim's letter, the Mr. City Promoter, was none other than Mayor Richard Caligiuri. Mayor Caligiuri was a popular and influential person, a visionary and a Renaissance man behind Pittsburgh's second Renaissance that saw massive urban improvements after our region's manufacturing losses. I was a young person at that time, and I remember those times, and Mayor Caligiuri breathed life into the city. I am honored that his son, David Caligiuri, as mentioned, is here with us today. David?
Hello, everyone. I just want to say thank you so much from my family for inviting us here today, and thank everyone on the Pennsylvania Trolley Museum for this awesome trolley. I can't wait to take a ride of it. I'm sure 40 years ago I took a ride on that when I was a little punk kid, and now I can do it as a punk adult. I want to say hello to Kim, and I can't wait to meet you, Kim, but I will say this. I wish I had known you 40 years ago, because then maybe you could have written my dad a letter and gotten me a car. It didn't happen when I was a kid, so, but again, thank you all so much. I appreciate it, and let's go Steelers.
1713 was actually built in 1949, long before any Super Bowl wins. Here to talk about the car's history is Pennsylvania Trolley Museum's Manager of Restoration, Bruce Wells, another one of our amazing volunteers who's actually been here since his teens. And if Bruce doesn't know it, nobody knows it.
Thank you, Janine, for that kind introduction. I hope so. I hope I know everything. I can tell you that, it rolled out in the streets in 1949, and it was one of 25 cars that were specially built to run on this line and to run on the line that went to Charleroi and then down to Roscoe. So it's really a member of the family here as far as the Trolley Museum and our location here in Washington County. In 1953, the museum got its second car, which we have operating for the public during the fair. And it was transported to Charleroi Car House and put back on its wheels by Janine's grandfather. So there's some super history for the Trolley Museum. At Charleroi Car House, the day that they got the car ready to run into Pittsburgh and be stored at Ingram Car Barn for the eventual movement to Pittsburgh, or to Washington, PA, Washington County, 1713 was parked in the yard right next to West Penn 832. So the car is in our history and in our blood. And so, we're really proud to get it back. It was just randomly selected. It was probably the car that was already in the paint booth, and they said, oh, let's do this in 1979, 1980, and bada bing, here it is. We've restored it. Michael Buckta, the guy that was running the car, he was the very serious project manager on this job, and we all have to give him a big round of applause. And we have filled it with advertising and things that go along with the 80s era that it ran in between 1980 and 1986 or so. We're not real sure when they took it out of service. It ultimately was repainted in special colors for the Trolley Museum at the direction of the Port Authority to run in the parade that was the opening ceremony for the Mount Lebanon, now Red Line. And so 1713 was in our parade, the one that Lou Redman spearheaded. And, we went down and we met with executives from the Port Authority, and they made it so. And so Lou Redman, one of our founding fathers, made that possible. So we had it in our parade in 1987, and then it was selected to be saved and operated until 1998. So it's had a long and fateful career. So enjoy your ride on 1713 today, and thank you for coming.
Many thanks, Bruce, and I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you, The museum has been around since 1954, open to the public in '63, and we are very proud to be a partner with our community to help make things like the 1987 parade that Bruce mentioned come about. So we're a proud member of this community. I also want to acknowledge a couple of people from Pittsburgh Regional Transit, the successor company for the Port Authority, who made this happen. We have a very good, long-standing, wonderful relationship with Port Authority, now PRT. I saw earlier Chuck Rampala is here, as well as Bill Millar. Bill Millar was CEO of the Port Authority from 1984 to 1996, but Bill is the one that when the memo came from Mayor Caligiuri, Bill ran down at the direction of his boss and made sure that car was painted. So Bill, thank you for being here today. I would also like to, thank you, Bill. I also want to acknowledge Keith Zagowski, who is the son of Chester Zagowski. Chester Zagowski is the employee of the Port Authority that came up with this beautiful scheme, the idea of where those decals would be placed on this car. We have a wonderful oral history from Chester. You can see it today. But Keith, thank you for being here. We have another person here who operated this car back in the day. He is our longtime member and volunteer, Joe Brantner. Joe, thank you for being here. And ask Joe for any story about the car that you'd like. He said everybody wanted to operate this car when it was in service because it was great, right? It was a Super 17 and it was a super ride. So thank you so much, Joe. 1713 was acquired by our museum in 2023. It arrived here on May 31st of that year. And of course, there's a story behind that acquisition. So to tell that story, which will amaze you, is our Ambassador Emeritus, our former Executive Director, Scott Becker.
Thank you, Janine. What a great day this is. It's funny how this project got started. It was actually by chance. So back in February 2023, we got a phone call from Sean Seaman at KDK TV. And Sean was a producer for a TV show on Saturdays called Fan Nation. And he wanted to feature the Terrible Trolley because of its connection with the Steelers. So I wanted to get more information about it. And so I went to Bruce Wells, our go-to, and he told me he had photos of it, but he also said, you know, that car is still around. And I said, really? I said, yeah, it's out in Ohio. It's owned by Ed Miller, a private trolley collector, and I think he wants to find it a new home. So I called Ed, and Ed said, oh, it's funny you called. I just sold the land and the building it's in, and I need to find it a home. So lo and behold, we made a deal to move it out here. So, and moving it out here wasn't easy, but we were very fortunate. We talked to Brownlee Transportation, and Brian Kengor was there at the time, and he worked out a way to move it very efficiently and inexpensively for us. Brian's back there. Thank you, Brian. And I want to also acknowledge that Sean Seaman is here. He's actually behind the camera for KDK. He has the McCutcheon jersey on. And I have to say something about KDK TV because not only did they spark this project, but they've stayed with it all along the way. So they were here on May 31st, 2023 when the car arrived and did an extensive filming of it. Sean was here for that. And then they came out and did interim reports since then. So they've really embraced this project, and I just want to tip my hat to Sean and KDKA and all the people that have come together to make this possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. And at this time, I would like to acknowledge our wonderful Pennsylvania Trolley Museum Board of Trustees, many of whom are here today. Michael Kenlick, President, Jack Demney, Vice President, Jim Harrington, Treasurer, Larissa Gula, Secretary, Ed Morasic, immediate past President, Barry Baker, Catherine Black, Denny Baucus, Jeff King, Dave Moffett, Art Rosino, Jennifer Schaefer, Laura Wells, Ray Betts, and Mike Fetzko. Please give them a round of applause. I would also like to thank the Chartiers Township Police Department because back in 2023, we needed their help getting that off of the trailer and here delivered. So thank you very much to our wonderful police department. A restoration of a streetcar can take 5, 10, or more years. This car was restored in little over 2 years. That is amazing. It is because of the efforts of our volunteer and paid staff that this happened, that this car is presented to you today. And when I say that they are all amazing, I mean it. Over 7,000 hours went into this car. Here to talk about the restoration process and to acknowledge everyone who worked on the car is Michael Butta.
All right, hello everybody. All right, good morning everyone. Thank you all for being here to celebrate the debut of the Terrible Trolley here at the Pennsylvania Trolley Museum. As Janine said, my name is Michael Butta. I am the Trolley Restoration Project Manager of the museum and the project manager of this car's restoration, of course. And what a project indeed. This to say that this project was challenging, driven, and intense would be a gross understatement. From when we acquired the car into our collection just over 2 years ago to now, this car has truly transformed into an icon, much like it did 45 years ago. This all started with what was going to be a get it running, give it a paint job kind of project. But as we got underneath and really started inspecting and diving in, we realized 1713 was going to get a lot more than that. From just the outside, most looked good and most looked in rather good shape. But we got to work immediately. This was one of those, we really owe it to the car from all the history it's been through. The museum, the preserver, who actually held on to the car all these years, and the city of Pittsburgh to give it the attention and time it deserved and needed, starting with the frame and the structural members. After we wrote up the plan and it was approved by our board, we started cutting new steel and welding in replacements where the steel has been deteriorated over years. We needle scaled, wire wheeled the entire underside of the car, treated with a rust-inhibitive solution that converts the oxidation process to protect the surface. Unfortunately, in any restoration, some areas where the floor met the side sills had rusted through so far that we had no choice but to replace them. This level of corrosion was what led us to removing the floor in the first place. We knew once we started this, there would be no turning back. After replacing nearly all the floor sill with new metal, we picked through the other areas as well. In efforts to be as efficient as possible with our time, there was a group of people working on the electrical circuits, the wiring, some of the body work, and control equipment that actually makes the car operate, all while other tasks are being going on around the car and happening simultaneously. Keep in mind that this whole time that we were working so far, that we were tracking down and gathering all the pieces and parts the car had when it was in service, but were removed later on in its life as it continued in service with upgrades, and then further into preservation. Such things as the flag holders on the front of the car, which may seem like a small detail, but they were there, and as you can see, they add a ton to the car and allow us to fly our wonderful flags off of them. Sorry. The rear gutters, we also had to hunt those down. They weren't even on the car in the air that they ran later, but they were a pretty complex curved piece, so we're happy to have that from actually its sister car, 1728, which was also an Ed Miller's preservation. We also need an extra seat frame, such things as panel behind the operator, which you'll see when you get inside the car, and everything else that you'll see as little trinkets and knickknacks that didn't come with the car when we got it. We really want to make this as accurate as a restoration as possible, but obviously with the steel repairs and bodywork to make it as thoroughly well done as we could. Moving along with the project, we found that the center step well was in dire need of replacement. And a week later, after one volunteer, Doug Kirkpatrick, spent a troubling week rebuilding that entire step well, it's just as good as it ever has been, if not better. So thank you, Doug. Again, a week later, everything was replaced there. And we just took it one area at a time. You know, it's the famous adage, how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. All was rebuilt, a lot of sheet metal work. all around the front of the operator platform area, the control boxes inside the car, basically everywhere where the wall meets the floor, where water can collect, and where salt can also collect in that too. Of course, that just eats away steel. And the entire car, other than the floor, is steel, so there you go. A lot of cutting and welding, a lot of bending and forming. It takes a lot of time. Interior trim pieces needed between the standee windows and the main windows were missing as well, or falling off, which of course were addressed. But all that is still not even scratching the surface of what was done with sheet metal underneath the car. While the car does not use air for its brakes, it still has an air system, or in other words, a ventilation system. Older streetcar motors had fans mounted on the armature, the part that spins and connects to the wheel, much like an internal combustion engine, where the faster you go, the faster the fan spins and the more cool the motor will be and the more efficient it will run. Instead, this car had forced air blown onto the motors to cool them down, as well as to cool the electrical gear underneath the car, mainly the accelerator, resistors, and the field coils, which when at slow speeds generate a lot of heat through the resistors. Most of the vents to direct the air around the car underneath, and the vents that go up into the car body that help heat the car in the wintertime, might as well have returned to the earth as rust and dust by the time we got to it. So all that needed replacing, of course, to make sure the car is properly cooled, and it's just a symptom to help the bigger problem there. All except one vent was completely replaced with new sheet metal, so that should tell you it all right there. Of course, this is all the things that are under the car that you don't see. And although that was well over half the project and time spent on the car, the work to make the car look as you see it was just as intense. There were a few areas around the car where we had to cut patches, weld in steel, blend it, body filler. But overall, it was a ton of sanding, wire wheeling and the rust, feathering the edge of every single paint line where it meets bare steel to make sure we have a nice, smooth, and crisp paint coating. While sanding down the layers, one could see each paint scheme the car once carried, including the paint scheme it has now from 45 years ago, the first time. It's almost like a cross between archaeology and bodywork to some degree. Needless to say, the result of that work is the image you see over there. After we cut the new plywood floor and spacers for that, we made everything nice and flat, installed the floor rubber, that's a sheet rubber flooring, through the pattern that it would have had back in the day. And from there, as soon as we got that floor in, and after the car was painted, things really kicked off into high gear from putting the car back together. All the heater covers, seats, light fixtures, every other detail you'll see when you go inside was all put back together on the span of exactly 3 months. From when we unmasked the car from painting, and of course, we were able to make the car operational in that time, as you saw. This was no easy task, of course. Hours upon hours went into this project, and I'd like to go through and recognize all the people who put their time into this car to make it a truly beautiful restoration and brought back this icon to life. If those that I recognize are here, please stand or wave your hand or something so we can acknowledge you. Fred Cooley, Don Bailey, Dom Bodick, Artie Ellis, Kim Freithaler, Kevin Zebley, Ralph Saccone, Jeff King, Dom Frizzy, Tim Gump, Mark Hall, Howard Harris, Jack Jost, Aiden Kenlick, Bear Kenlick, Douglas Kirkpatrick, Gary Molaskowitz, Louis Mariano, Bo Miller, Devin Mooney, Bernie Orient, Nevin Regal, Art Rosino, Roy Scandrel, Tim Sheffield, Mark Smutney, Bruce Wells, Sarah Wells, and Laura Wells. So that about wraps up. Thank you all for being here today to celebrate the rollout of this amazing car, and for all your hard work and the volunteers that made this happen. Now that this joke has never been made before, but you all made it look truly terrible. Thank you.
I want everyone to please give Michael, and I want everybody who was involved in this car to please stand up and please give them a hearty round of applause. I also want to point out that Michael and Louie, Mariano back there, are wearing period-appropriate Port Authority Transit uniforms. So, thank you, Michael. Thank you. So, as past president Ed Mrazek once said, sometimes the paint job makes all the difference. We are immensely grateful to Prime Collision, who not only painted this car, but donated their services to do so. I know you will agree with me that this is a beautiful car. Gary Flannery from Prime is here, and I'd like him to please give some remarks.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. I think you got to agree that's probably the best 76-year-old you've seen in a long time. The rumors are true. She had to have some work done. When the crew here and our crew started on this, that car looked nothing like that. It hasn't looked like that for a very long time. And we've heard some comments recently that that car looks better now than it did when it rolled out, however many years ago that was, as the Terrible Trolley the first time. On behalf of our folks at Prime Collision Center in the Washington Auto Mall, two people in particular I'd like to recognize. Kevin Haberstroh is the manager of the shop, and his expertise and work went into this. And then Marvin Wigley. Marvin did the actual painting. We had 6 or 7 other people that put in a considerable amount of time also. These are folks that really knew nothing about the Trolley Museum, weren't a part of this until this came up. And that's the kind of things that we feel communities need. It amazes me every time I talk to Scott Becker and he tells me how many volunteer hours that they get from people. This organization, there's a lot to be commended that goes on over here. Scott, I think, was the primary driver behind this project. Ed, is that pretty safe to say? Ed was the chairman of the board or president of the board at the time, and Scott is the CEO. But thank you very much. We love what this represents, and we're happy to be a part of it. Thank you.
Many thanks again to Ed Morasic and Gary. I was there the day that this car was unmasked, and it was truly amazing. So thank you very much to Prime. I would also like to thank American Glass, Heater, Glass Upholstery, API, Rick and Dovina, who is also here. Thank you, Rick. They donated the paint, and that's PPG Paints. TNT Auto Trim, as previously mentioned, Brian Kengor for helping transport this here. So thank you all for your hard work. Finally, a big thank you to Mike and Jessica Kenlake, Pirate Republic, and their crew here that's capturing all of this for posterity. A big thank you to our wonderful staff who helped with this event put on. I couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much. And now, it's time to take our first rides on this magnificent streetcar. But before we do so, we're going to get a few photos first. So I'd like, first of all, let's get Michael. And then I'm going to invite other people to come up. But I want to thank you all for being here on this amazing day. Please come back and visit us again. Ride the Terrible Trolley. Enjoy your time here at the Pennsylvania Trolley Museum. Thank you. Is Senator Bartolotta still here, or John Banaszak? Okay, all right. So at this time, everyone who was involved with the restoration of this streetcar, including from the time of acquisition forward, if you had any part in it, please come up.